Hello, and welcome to the Election Assistance Commission's training on the National Voter Registration Act for election officials. Thank you for taking the time to complete this training. Let's get started. The National Voter Registration Act, or NVRA, provides several requirements for voter registration, including voter registration must be offered at state agencies, a national mail voter registration form, and voter list maintenance. The law sets a national baseline for voter registration requirements that apply to federal elections. With its passage, Congress aimed to increase opportunities for citizens to register to vote or update their registration and provide a process for election officials to update voter lists and ensure they remain accurate. In this training, you will learn who the NVRA applies to, its requirements for voter registration in federal elections, and baseline requirements for voter list maintenance. While the NVRA provides a baseline, state laws and regulations affecting voter registration and list maintenance vary greatly across the country. Officials should contact their legal representatives with questions about specific procedures and practices. The NVRA applies to all states and the District of Columbia, except states with no voter registration as of August 1, 1994, and having never implemented a system of voter registration thereafter, and states that permitted same-day registration as of August 1, 1994, and have never eliminated the option. Note, the NVRA requires states to identify a chief election official. Most states assign that role to the Secretary of State, but in some states, the chief election official may be the lieutenant governor, executive director, election commission, administrator, or chief election officer. Select each button to learn more. The NVRA is often referred to as the Motor Voter Law due to its requirement that states permit a resident to register to vote at their motor vehicle agency, often the state's Department of Motor Vehicles, or DMV. States must include a voter registration form as part of an application submitted to the motor vehicle agency, like an application for a driver's license, a renewal, or to update an address. Also, any change of address submitted to the motor vehicle agency should update the voter registration address, unless the individual submitting the change chooses not to update their voter registration. Select each button to learn more about the voter registration form. The NVRA also requires state offices that provide public assistance and those that primarily engage in providing services to persons with disabilities to provide voter registration opportunities. Offices that provide services to persons with disabilities must make voter registration available at the person's home. States may provide registration opportunities at other government offices, like schools, libraries, city and county clerk's offices, and unemployment offices. And the federal government, including the armed forces, is directed to cooperate with states in implementing these voter registration requirements. Armed forces recruitment offices are even considered voter registration agencies. The motor vehicle agency or government office must transmit the voter registration form to the state election official within 10 days of receipt. If the registration is received within 5 days of the voter registration deadline, the window to deliver the registration to the state election official is shortened to 5 days. States must accept voter registrations up to at least 30 days prior to an election, though they may choose to set a registration deadline closer to Election Day. When a registration is received, election officials must notify the voter whether the form was accepted or rejected. The NVRA requires the Election Assistance Commission, or EAC, to create a mail voter registration form. Select each button to learn more. Now it is time to check your understanding. Read the question and answer choices and select your answer. Then select Submit. Finally, the NVRA requires states to implement a uniform and non-discriminatory voter list maintenance program. The purpose of the program is to keep voter lists up to date and provide a process to make sure that voters are eligible to vote at their registered addresses. Maintaining accurate voter lists can have downstream effects like reducing provisional ballot use and providing more accurate voter numbers for planning and budgeting purposes. Select each button to learn more. The program must also comply with the Voting Rights Act, remove voters who have died or moved out of the jurisdiction based on United States Postal Service information, and cannot remove a voter solely due to failure to vote. Generally, states may remove a voter from the registration list if the voter requests removal, is convicted of a criminal offense, or is found mentally incapacitated if state law requires, fails to respond to a change of address notification sent by an election official, and subsequently fails to vote in 2 federal general elections. Note, if a voter is convicted of a felony in a federal court, the U.S. Attorney must give notice to the state. Election officials must use any address updates received from the voter during this process to update their voter registration lists. In addition to relying on Postal Service change of address information, election officials may send confirmation notices based on information from returned jury notices, undeliverable election mail, or information indicating ineligibility. Select each registrant action to view the outcome. What happens if a voter does not respond to a change of address notification and then shows up to vote in the jurisdiction for the next federal election? Select each button to learn more. Generally, voter list maintenance programs must be suspended by the 90th day before a federal election. Select each button to learn more. Now it is time to check your understanding. Read the question and answer choices and select your answer. Then, select Submit. Congratulations! You have completed the National Voter Registration Act for election officials. Hopefully, you now have a better understanding of who the NVRA applies to, its requirements for voter registration in federal elections, and baseline requirements for voter list maintenance. As always, thank you for your work in elections.